Welcome everyone to another episode of the Muscle Galaxy. I'm your host Hami Fakihi, aka the Muscle Jedi, natural bodybuilder, up and coming coach, and today I am joined by a good friend of mine, Mr.
Oh, I didn't realize I was introducing
Say your
myself.
name.
My name's Dylan Yack.
So today we're gonna be talking about lots of knowledge bombs coming your guys' way. But I guess first question is, who is Dylan? Where are you now? Why do you do what you do? And what is your genuine and most intentional goal out of everything you're doing now?
Okay, I like that. There's a lot to digest, but I like that. So, who am I? I am a 24-year-old amateur bodybuilder. The big one, I'll just skip right to it, is like, how did I get to where I'm at? So, a lot of people don't actually know this. In 2019, I had a colon failure. I was I was first year university. I was drinking like a moron. I had no real intention with anything, and just through like the compilation of stress and just an unhealthy lifestyle, my colon failed. So I
And
was in
this
and out
was
of the
not
hospital.
genetic. This was
So supposedly it could be. However, on the side of the family that says they have it, there's no real history of it. So
okay.
we don't exactly know. But yeah, so now I have ulcerative colitis from it. But I was in the hospital for a better part of a year. I came out
Mm-hmm.
of the hospital. Growing up, I was not in shape. I was a bigger kid. I really struggled losing weight and just had a really poor relationship with food. So when I got out of the hospital, I had lost a good amount of weight given the circumstances. So from there, I had a gnarly eating disorder. So by the end of 2020, I was 127 pounds. So just complete shit show. I could barely eat, couldn't do nothing. So from that point on, I started working out and became a little bit of a nerd for the sport, and the rest is history. Uh, the latter part of that question being, where do I want to be? I like educating. That's what I like to do. I'm not super great on Instagram just yet. But my TikTok has done quite well over the past little bit. So I like to be able to like produce small courses. I've loads of ebooks, things along those lines, and just educate, make it simple, don't overcomplicate things, and
What's your
have a little bit of
TikTok?
fun with it. It's Dylan Yack.
I never knew you had a TikTok. Let me.
I've only used it for the past month. Yeah, so in this past month, I'm up 1,900 followers on it.
Yo, we're gonna talk about content after the podcast because this is so cool, man. Wow, guys, at Dylan Yak _ on TikTok.
Yeah, so my TikTok's been doing well, and I got really fortunate that I made one video that was really just based upon injection frequency and why every day was superior. Got a whole lot of backlash or support or whatever it may be, and then the comments never really stopped. So I'm very fortunate now that my TikTok is just answering comments. I'm able to provide quick, like minute-long videos just on a singular topic, and the education's accurate, so I have a lot of fun with it. So right now, it's the only app I'm really pushing, yet it's doing really well for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting more into TikTok too. I mean, I'm sure you noticed my Instagram is more on the professional side of things,
Yeah,
but I'm trying to make my TikTok more just talking straight to the point, no
yep.
production, just to see how that goes. So
It's
that's
so
super
simple.
cool to see.
It's
Yeah.
so simple. Like the Instagram, I understand. I always have that conversation with people. Instagram has to be professional. It won't do well if it's not. Right? It's not even like it's not going to push well. People aren't going to interact with it. People aren't really going to watch it because there's so many high quality content creators now that when they see somebody holding a phone up, unless they already have like a name, there's something correlated to it. It's really not going to push well. Versus on TikTok, I don't know what happened to me, but it's working just fine right now. Is I have the opportunity to literally just answer comments. So if you can get to that point, pick a niche, right? Obviously, I started with performance enhancements. It's incredibly niche, way more than I thought it would be. To be honest, with you, when you
Especially
go,
on TikTok. Especially on
yeah,
TikTok.
way more than
Instagram, Reddit, way less.
yeah,
TikTok for sure.
and way less people than I thought it would be. Like interaction, the majority of them, which is baffling. Most of these kids are sub 20. People interacting with it. You get the occasional old head, but most people sub 20. So I started off with that. I got a good amount of engagement, and now here I'm able to sprinkle in a little bit more training, nutrition, stuff along those lines because I already have the interaction. I can kind of broaden it now, and I'm gonna let that see where that takes me. But I've only been using TikTok for a month.
Okay, awesome, dude. Well, yeah, it's always very interesting because I had a friend of mine who he has a good amount relative to me. So I have like 740 something. My friend has like 1.6K and he has 15K on TikTok. And his TikTok is very organic. Like he literally has some videos laying in his bed talking and stuff.
Yep, me too.
And like he says like, for Instagram, just drop the fancy camera and like just pump out content. But I've always viewed Instagram as like I'd rather take my time and put out a bit more quality because, in my opinion, Instagram is your CV
I
more
agree.
than any other app. And even like another thing is like I always tell my friends, like a lot of my friends are on like Tinder and Hinge and all these apps. I'm like, Instagram's a real dating app too. Instagram is the
Yep.
hub of the world. Um, I wish the hub was X because I think that place has so
It's
much
fantastic.
potential.
Fantastic.
It's so like, yeah, there's so much you can do with it. And I think that day will come because at the end of the day, we've seen social networks kind of go up, gain their popularity, and then people will migrate to another. But
Mhm.
no, yeah, that's super cool. It's very interesting that you're doing it on TikTok because I've never seen stuff on TikTok. Like I know, for example, now especially when it comes to enhancements. Specifically, I think GLP-1s and peptides are like main topic of conversation right
It's
now. That's already
fucking
mainstream now.
horrible.
So you have Huberman talking about it. You have Gary Brecka talking about it. You have all these surgeons out in like Cabo and these experimental research places like talking about it. So it's always very interesting to see what like the true niche is like and stuff because, for example, for me, like when I was really into training, I remember podcasts I would watch barely had views, guys would barely have subscribers, and now they're like way bigger. But then I'm like, now, like, what was once niche is no longer a niche. And like,
Yep.
I think what you're doing is probably going to be next. I'm
Well, I
very,
hope so. Yeah.
I'm very, very convinced that the more time goes, the more the whole world's eyes are gravitating towards bodybuilders and everything we do. I really believe this.
I agree. It's funny too because there's so many negative connotations around the things that bodybuilding entails, right? According to
Hmm.
society, bodybuilding is the disordered eating, not the people eating junk 24/7. And then you look at performance enhancements, you'll see a lot of people, to be honest with you, I hate the fact that this is true, but majority of people on gear will have better labs than the average human does. Right, to put that into perspective,
Yes.
there's this huge
Yes.
connotation that steroids are killing people left, right, and center. You know what? The great alcohol kills more people by percentage than anabolics do per year, by a long shot. It's not even close.
So I have a
And
quick question when it comes
yeah,
to deaths, health issues, and stuff. So the more and more I kind of get deep into like hearing coaches talk and stuff, I've heard this line a few times indirectly, and I want to know if it's true. Are steroids killing? What's killing more people, the steroids or the diuretic use in
neither. It's just
history of bodybuilding?
in history. Well, the thing that kills most bodybuilders is the sheer amount of weight that we are. Right, obesity is the greatest cause of death on the planet. Right,
Hmm.
whether you're 300 pounds of tissue or fat, you think your body knows anything different? No, you just burn more calories than the other one. Right,
And I
walking around with
would
that much
assume
weight.
that if you have more muscle tissue, you're actually going to pump more blood.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you're looking like I understand it's really easy to apply a little bit of logic that the bigger you are, like if you're 300 pounds lean and 300 pounds fat, it's not exactly comparable, right? One of you, like the larger man, like the individual with more tissue will on paper be healthier. But again, it's 300 pounds. You're going to have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is terrible, right? I don't know what the exact data is, but the decline in quality of life after sleep apnea is horrible. Horrible, which is alarming because I'm getting a CPAP shortly. But regardless, and then it's just so back. I don't want to go too far from your question. It was individual compounds or diuretics. I don't think enough people use diuretics for that to win in a head-to-head battle. I think maybe 20, 30 years ago it could have been. However, I wasn't around back then, so I really couldn't tell you. I think diuretics are being weaned out. They do have some purpose for some people. I don't exactly love them. I really just prefer you to, hey, let's just get lean earlier, right? Let's not play catch up. But if you had to, individual compounds, though, like if you're looking at your testosterones, your primable, and your masterons, they're not going to kill you. They could. I'm not going to say they won't, but like the odds are these compounds are very tolerable for pretty much everybody.
Um. Yeah, sorry guys, it just got cut off recording, camera died. So basically you were talking about how
Oh
like
yes,
steroids
diuretics
do and
versus
or
gear
don't
use.
kill people and this and that.
Yeah, the diuretics versus gear use. So I think when you look at like compiling everything together, like if you're like I'll use concepts prep just because it's typically where more drugs are being used. Your testosterone, that's your base, you're fine, right? For the most part, you're okay, unless you're somebody driving testosterone really high on a diet, but testosterone is very watery. You don't see that too often, right? Clenbuterol, aortic hypertrophy, the larger your heart grows, that's issue number one, right? A lot of it, rest in peace, Dallas McCarver, he had a heart attack, or no, he choked. Shit, regardless, wrong on. But you're sitting there, your aorta is growing. It's literally in a hypertrophic environment. You are putting stress on your organs. Heart attacks are a great kill. I think they're the number one cause of bodybuilding related deaths. So there's that.
Yes.
And then you have plenty of things: Anavar, Masteron, Primabol, and Trenbolone. Just nuke your lipids. Your lipids are so beyond important. I don't think anybody understands the value of cholesterol. So you compile all these things together. This is where the issues come in. But in modern day, a lot of people don't seem to realize how much gear is really used in bodybuilding. It's not a little bit. If somebody tells you their whole total is a gram or less than a gram, 90% of them are full of shit. Full of shit, like not even
My
close.
assumption is the best in the world are using above 3.
For the most part, yes, there's genetic anomalies. Like I know Nick
Yes.
Walker, for one, is one, which is remarkable. But there's so much gear being used, and these are the people that have the issues. So a lot of people, like everybody nowadays who's starting out worried about their 250 milligrams of testosterone causing side effects, come the fuck on, right? You really got to just realize that in the grand scheme of things, it gets dangerous when you let it get dangerous. There's that whole notion that's not exactly traveled yet, is if you can get somewhere without using all that amount, it's just how much longer will that take? Nobody's going to be willing to do that. If you're told it's going to take you 10 years longer, you're going to tell somebody, hey, you could be an Olympian in 3 years. But you could also be an Olympian in a decade. You just have to take longer to do it. Nobody's going to do it. Nobody. They might pretend they're even thinking about it, but nobody does it. So, with in the larger you get, mixed with a compile, just a cocktail of different things, that's where I'd see it being the greatest predictor of you dying versus diuretic use. I'd like to say at like a regional show, if you got like 30 athletes in total on the male setting, maybe five of them use diuretics, right? So I don't think any of the five. Obviously, you can die from it.
Mm-hmm.
So how often do you really hear about people dying at a regional show,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's when the protocols are really bad. In the pro levels, the protocols aren't bad. You have people that have been doing this for years and years and years looking after you for the most part. So on an amateur level, how many people have you ever heard of an amateur dying? No, so I don't think diuretics, they can. They're very dangerous. They're potassium depleting, so the dehydration is fucking horrible. But you don't see it too often. So I guess to your question, I think gear would kill more. But again, it's in that 1% of it. I don't see it being as common as people think it is.
So now that we're kind of down this alley of, we've talked a bit about contest prep, we've talked a bit about gear usage. I know that later we're going to talk into training, and I'm going to ask you also a lot about how you can implement certain things with naturals. And the first thing I
Of
want to say,
course.
okay, so let's say we're peaking a natural. How can we dry out? Because I'll tell you one thing I've learned is that in general, this is like my rule of thumb is like, well, flat usually will look watery on a natural, and
Hmm.
full, if you're not spilled, will look relatively dry. So,
Yep.
how beyond that point, or if need be, what are methods we can use to dry out as naturals in a peak week?
So I've seen people throw like the Hail Mary with dandelion root and astragalus and other things just to flush water. But again, like the greatest way to dry out as a natural, and as a natural, it is hard because naturals typically underestimate the amount of tissue they have. You just got to be peeled. You can't be watery. You're not going to be soft if you're peeled. It's super simple and it's not so fun and flashy. Yet I'd always encourage you to just be really, really lean and not have to worry about the rest because I don't really believe in cutting water. I hate the thought of cutting water.
Me
Come
too.
day of, come day of, I'll just say sip as you please. Right? Don't chug
Mm-hmm.
anything. Just drink casually. You're not starving anymore. You're being filled out. You're eating into your show, so you don't need to supplement in 4 gallons of water just to artificially fuel your
Mm-hmm.
stomach. But I don't like the crazy protocols, even from the enhanced scene, right? Just I'd rather you just get lean early. You're not on the pro level for the most part, so there's no acute need for it. You can push a show back to the next one. Really, really diet, really get lean. But in a last minute Hail Mary, you can dig, you can pull water and salt, but again, it's so dangerous. especially in a natural setting too. Like you already have no parent hormones active. Your sleep's gone to shit. It probably hurts your feet to walk around. So I wouldn't even risk it. What I would lean towards doing is if you are lean enough, this is more effective in the female realm because females, you don't have to be peeled to win. You can
Hmm.
either be the leanest on stage or the fullest. The issue with being the fullest is that typically when they say you're not full enough, it just means you're not big enough. But you can just outshape and look full and have everything where you want it to be if you're lean enough and kind of soften it out through food and fluid. That way you don't have to dig to a point that's just unbearable. From a male side, well, if you're a male like and you're not lean enough, especially in a natural show, you're not going to win very many shows. Right? If you ever go to a natural show as a man, first and foremost, whoever has the best quads typically always wins. And then if you're not lean, they don't even look at you because everybody seems to end around that 150 to 170 pound range for the most part. We're all around like in those classes. That's where we always end up lying. So for you to try and to show up and be a little bit behind, it's not worth it. Just pick the next show.
Yeah, 100%. I know even with when I was backstage with Sarah for the first show, um, I knew that she would drink more if I said sip as you please.
Yeah,
So I just
you have to be
said,
careful with
let's
that.
just not drink until like
Yeah.
12. And then what I would do is because another thing is like when you have glucose in your blood, it's actually glycogen sparing as well. So
Hmm.
I would just make her have like we had like 500 milliliter bottle and we put like 30 grams of dextrose and we just sip on that and that kind of helped. But the biggest thing I found was like, yeah, get them ready ahead of time so you feed them into the show. So you
Exactly.
also drop off the fatigue, and that's where a lot of the water
That's
is
where
gonna come off.
that's
That's
where
where a
most of it
majority of
is.
the water is gonna
Yeah.
come off in a nice way, where you can preserve or even improve the physique simultaneously. Whereas if you're like pulling water last minute, also another thing I did, I don't touch salt. I know Nick Walker talked about this as well. I'm just
I
like,
don't
just
like
eat
it
the same
either.
amount of salt.
Yep.
Obviously that also plays a role in how you absorb the carbs as well, which is the biggest part about peaking.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, I'll put it this way. When I peaked her, obviously my coach helped me a bit. I was like, that's it?
Yeah. It's
Like
so
this is
simple.
like after 4 years of watching podcasts of Meadows, Milos, Patrick, like all these guys, I'm like, this is peaking, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, I think, yeah, you hit it on the head. Like, just be ready, and you're
That's all it
peaked.
takes.
Yeah,
That's all it takes.
because even like I was telling a friend, he's like, yeah, I think we're gonna see a new Ramon this year. I'm like, unless he's added a lot of tissue,
No
like,
chance.
I don't think that like. What do you mean new Ramon? They're gonna bring him in fuller? It's like, okay, they're gonna bring him in fuller. Like, is it gonna make that much of a difference if he's in condition or not?
Yeah. No,
It's
he's a
like,
true. He's never been lean. Hell, last year he was sweating buckets on stage.
yeah.
But last year or two, yeah, last year. So again, just be ready. Pros are not perfect. People always think that pros are perfect. I think Ramon's prep
Mm,
last year was 9 weeks. They were talking about something just really quick and light. I
yeah.
get it. Like, dude, it's your job. Be a little bit professional and on top of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teach them.
Who's your pick for what's your top 5 for classic? What's your top 5 for open?
Classic, I am so beyond biased because I love Terrence Ruffin as a bodybuilder. I love
I'm
him
with
as an
Terrence as well,
individual.
and I think Terrence is way more classic than Mike.
I agree. I
I
agree.
think
Mike,
Terrence looks like the guys from the 80s in a new cool way.
yeah, he's real cool. He's super. I like listening to him talking. He's really calm, really present. He's very good. He's done a lot of really cool things in his life. I am biased to liking him, and I love watching him pose. So just for sake of that, I'll put him at one.
And he's smart. He knows
Yeah,
what like how to
yeah,
train. He
he's
knows
real
how food
smart.
works. And I think we need someone like that to be looked up to because how many past Olympia champions can explain everything they've done to the T?
Not many.
Yeah,
Not. Look at Chris and Ian. They were just going with a whim, and he won 8, or he won
yeah,
6.
yeah,
But with Terrence too, though, you got to look. His first coach was John Meadows. Obviously, rest in peace till he go. And now he's worked with Hassan. He worked with Joe Bennett. Are you kidding me? He had Joe Bennett in his pocket for 3 years, 4 years. You're going to learn everything about your training philosophies and why things work for you. So he's been great teams.
Yeah.
He's had great people around him, and it shows. He's a fantastic athlete. So I'm excited for him. I'm going to put Mike in two just because Mike will come in second or first. He will be
Yes.
one of the two.
Yes, I
However,
agree.
last year I really enjoyed him. He was the first person to ever take a point away from Chris. He was very grateful about it. He spoke. He said, I didn't want all these nice things. Lately, he's just apparently been an asshole. Like, you see all these videos going around him yelling at people and this and that while they're training. That's not cool. This is bodybuilding. Like, be a little bit more encouraging. Do I want Ramon in third? I mean, I could. I could also see Ramon winning. If Ramon does come in peeled,
If
he's
Ramon, I want Ramon or Terrence to win just for the
yeah,
love of the game, because when I see Ramon, it reminds me of what Hadi and Behruz are to us, to like the Persian
yeah,
community, and
exactly.
I know that Ramon winning will change the game of bodybuilding around the world, because I think the world needs to start to admit this is not an American sport anymore.
No, not
You
at
know,
all.
it's reaching the rest of the world, and obviously there shouldn't be bias involved, but like I would love to see him win. I think he's a cool character, and like
Yeah,
I was telling my friend, I'm like, if you walked up to someone in the street and you showed them like, and you asked them like, which bodybuilder would you want to look like the most, they're either picking a men's physique guy or they're picking Ramon.
I don't even know any of the men's physique competitors.
Yeah, I don't follow it, but like because my first prep that I did was bikini, it made me realize that I should pay attention a lot more to other
To
classes.
everything, of course.
And
Yeah,
I appreciate the look, but like, I don't know, man. Like, there's just something about classic and open that's like
this is
different.
open for me.
So
I
if
love
let's say
open.
Ramon comes in normally, comes in third. If he's not in third, who takes that spot? Logan
See, I
or
don't
who?
know.
Yeah,
I think Hosema, his condition is just fucking remarkable.
yeah, dude, he's
Oh my,
nuts.
it's so fun to look at. Like, you'll
Yeah.
see every single time he moves, a new striation comes out.
Have you seen Michael
It's so
Dabul?
he looks sick too.
I saw
He
him
looks
when he won the
sick
Dubai
too.
Pro this year. I watched it live. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, he self-coached himself to that.
Yeah, yeah. You know he's a
It's
watch
insane.
dealer? Like that's his main job.
Yeah, he was on a
Yeah,
podcast with somebody I listened to. It was really cool.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I can see Ramon or Hosema in third or fourth. I don't personally love Logan Franklin's look. I never have.
I find
Not
he's
really
very
my.
bottom heavy, in my
I
opinion.
agree, but he will probably crack the top five. I'd probably have him in fifth.
hmm
Then when you go to Open, fuck, Open is going to be fun this year.
This is the best
Oh,
open in God knows how many years.
your top four is going to come down to fingernails and hair follicles. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Between Hottie, Nick, Derek, and Samson. It is literally going to come down to skin on your hair. There's no way around it. I think it'll be really cool because last year Samson outmuscled everybody by a long shot. Now Nick's on stage, pretty much the same weight as Samson, but 5 inches shorter. Yes, Samson's
It's
prettier.
a lot of different looks,
Yep,
and it's going to be very interesting because based on the recent judging, I think we're entering the shape era, but if Nick wins, that disrupts
everything.
everything.
Yeah, well,
Everything.
Nick is about 10 years late to his. He would have won a good amount of Olympias back when you look at the old category, which how big can you get and how lean can you get? And his answer to both is very,
Yeah.
right? And then very, both of the two. He's
So I
fucking.
saw Behruz won both of the Dubai Pros live.
Hmm.
I like okay, so I saw he made Bonac look like a child on stage.
Insane.
Like
It's
he's
insane.
huge. I think he could crack the top four as well.
Well, we don't
Because
know. Right? He's
we
never been on
don't
stage with
know,
any of these people.
but all I'm telling you is the guy is like almost 5'11". He doesn't have a missing body part. He's always in shape. He's always in condition. He's a phenomenal poser, and he's always
It'll be
just so
fun.
peeled.
Isn't that? Isn't that tonight? It starts.
I think so.
I think
Yeah, yeah,
Open
it's
will be.
tonight.
Yeah,
Prejudging's tonight.
yeah. Make sure I buy that before I forget.
Yeah, but
But
yeah, I know it's gonna be interesting. I mean, 212 is no debate. It's Keon, and then
Keon, and you
everyone
know what?
else
If
is
if
just.
if he goes up next year, he'll probably win Open too.
I
If he can
think
put enough tissue.
Keon is our next star who's gonna win like three, four, five Olympias.
Yeah, I agree. It, he goes last year too. I had my money on Sean winning last year. Sean Clarita is one of the more impressive bodybuilders we've ever seen. He's so underappreciated.
Okay, can I ask you something? Because I don't understand why. Because, but I'll tell you why to begin with. I'm a shape guy. Like you can even
Okay.
ask Greg.
Oh, he's
Like
got
I'll
he's got no shape.
no shape. To me is like my favorite physiques all time. Samir Banut, Flex Wheeler,
Okay.
Sean Roden. Um,
You're going
but
shape, but you're
like
not gonna put Phil Heath in there.
Phil Heath for sure, for
I was gonna
sure.
say.
Kevin, like basically everyone that looks. Honestly, I just realized one thing. I'm not a shape guy. I'm a quality guy.
Fair,
That's what I like.
fair.
So
Yeah.
Jay isn't the most shape, but he's a quality guy.
Hmm.
And to me, Sean is like, okay, so this is where I think he stands out based on my understanding. He's crazy freak factor.
Yep.
Crazy freak factor.
Same. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Look, I want nothing. There's parts of me like, yes, you like Chris Bumstead goes on stage and hits a side chest, your jaw drops. You're just looking at something that's so perfect. It looks
Yeah.
so good top to bottom. It's so pretty. Then Sean Clarita goes on stage or Nick Walker, and their fucking skin texture is like paper thin. They're veiny everywhere. I love that too. And the part that Sean that's crazy, he's 5'1", 175 on stage. I don't think people kind of grasp how big that is. Yes,
That's
he's
yeah,
small.
that's very
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, 5'1". He's 175. He's heavier than most people that you'll see walking around, and he's tiny. He just can't. The only issue with Sean is he'll never be able to take up a lot of space. Just his wingspan
Yeah.
alone, like he's gonna hit a back double, and his wingspan is half the size of somebody else. But where I was getting with that is I wanted him to win last year. I thought he was fantastic. Keon came on stage, and I think the whole bodybuilding world froze because for a decade or 5 years, Keon's been coming up and just missing the mark year after year after year, and everyone kind of forgot about him. He went from classic, open, he did everything, and nobody really appreciated him because nobody saw nothing. He came on stage last year, and at his first quarter turn, he made it like a cinematic thing. It was game over. That was the most complete package that we've seen in a very long time. A very long time. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. So we're talking okay, favorite coaches and why, and which coaches you find get a bit too much credit but don't actually maybe back it up.
Favorite coaches and why? That's a good question. Uh, you know what? I think Honey Rambod is fantastic when it comes to his
Dude, he did a
results.
seminar two
Yeah,
Octobers ago and I wasn't here, dude, in my gym.
when you look at his results, you cannot argue that at all. The part that I will argue is I don't actually believe his training contributed much to at all of any of his athletes' tissue.
So you want
But
me to tell you something very interesting? I
go
agree
ahead.
with you.
There's
I'm like his
some.
biggest fan, dude. Like I'm his biggest fan. But like he he the FST7 thing, I'm not necessarily sure, but I did find out last week that you can manipulate the look of a muscle and create more separation and manipulate how fascia stands on a muscle
Yes,
based on
yes, it's
but
sarcoplasmic
also
hypertrophy. Yeah.
but also okay, for example, how many people a lot of people have feathered triceps.
Hmm.
How many people have the like peeled skin thin biceps?
Not many. Well, then again, that's site enhancement oil, though. I do find a lot
Yes.
of athletes use. Yeah.
Yes. But if you'll see this in naturals too. Why? What do we do whenever we're training, let's say tricep? The biggest thing we do is we always get fully short, right?
Hmm.
Now, when you get fully short, what will happen is, especially if muscle is generally getting short and they're short on overload. So it's heavier in the short. What's going to happen is there's going to be so much fluid loading up in the muscles, it's actually going to push the fascia apart. And this is how you get a more separated look. So one quote, like I was learning this from my coach, and he was saying how like if you want a the fascia thing, that's how I understand it. So don't label it his thing. That's how, because like maybe I made a mistake, but imagine you could gain 10 pounds or you could gain 5 pounds, but completely like improve the quality or look of a muscle. Most people would pick the 5 pounds. Like if
100%.
we're talking about bodybuilders, and like when you, so that's another point. Is like you don't see many people doing bicep work here. Reason a lot of people have peeled quads is like pretty simple, like leg extensions. Um, Hamstrings, like yeah, you'll see peeled hamstrings, peeled glutes. You'll see a lot of that because people are hip thrusting more now and stuff. So getting a muscle short does, it isn't bro science. It does improve the look of a muscle, but the whole fascia stretch training, this and that, I don't know. I don't think that's Hani's thing. Hani has said two things. Well, one I heard from the other, but one he always says my skill is connecting with people. I think he knows how to speak to the
Yeah.
athlete
Yeah.
because they all train very differently. But another big thing is he's so meticulous, from what I hear.
Very.
Very
Seemingly, of course.
meticulous.
Yeah.
Like,
He's got to be. Look, he's got look, bodybuilders are not we're not very popular. They're not very famous. Not majority of the
yeah.
world won't know you. Inside of the community though is where he's working with the biggest names. He doesn't have the opportunity to not give them 100% because one bad thing happens. Matt Jansen, for example, it all crumbles.
Mm,
It all crumbles. So you have to be careful with it. But again, how many Olympias did he win? 20 something?
27.
It's not a fucking accident.
Who do
It
you
doesn't just
think?
happen.
So Hani is like undebatable.
Hmm.
Who do you think? I mean, Aceto's up there.
Yeah, I agree.
Who else? Who do you think is next?
I don't even know if we know them yet.
Interesting. Good
Bodybuilding is
answer.
coming. It is coming so fast. So many people are coming into things, and all it takes is one person to challenge a little bit and learn a lot. Bodybuilding is such a status quo sport. Everybody does a variation of the same thing. So all it's really going to take is somebody who has a lot of fucking balls to go in there and just, you know what, this doesn't like you piece why this is happening and why they're doing this and just figure out the median and go from there. So I think the next really big one, like what's the boss of Outlaw? Almost was, right?
Stefan.
Yeah, like he had a lot of people going really fast, and now you kind of already forgot his name, right? Like who
I just
did?
think people like that usually, from what I hear, they just get way too many clients at once and they're
Yeah,
spread thin.
yeah, and they'll go up and down really fast. You know who I do really like is Chris Tuttle.
He seems cool.
He is
He's
fascinating.
very into the gut side of things
Yeah,
recently.
he's well, I believe he's a dietitian. That's where it comes from, and he's coaching Jordan Hutchinson, who, by the way, looks fucking fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. So Chris Tuttle's really cool, and then obviously I'm biased towards Justin Mahaley. Again, somebody who really challenges the status quo and has the results to back it. Same thing in
Who
like
are who are some like bigger athletes he's worked with?
Justin Mahaley. Not many. I don't think he's worked with anybody in like an Olympia setting at all. He's turned a lot of
Interesting.
people pro, but
Yeah.
there's him, and then obviously Phil
Which is
Viz.
also a very hard thing to do. People
Yeah,
overlook that.
yeah, very complicated. And then you look at Phil Viz, I think is awesome. I think Phil Viz, I love. One thing I'm like a little bit biased towards. I think very successful men who have the ego, I appreciate that because it's warranted. If you can walk the walk and talk the talk, talk your fucking shit. And a lot of people are gonna get triggered by that. So be it. So be it. They're not the right type of people for you, regardless. But it's really cool. He comes from a digestive health background as well. He's the same condition that I have and he got to super heavyweight bodybuilding. Hell, when I got to the hospital, I was only allowed to eat clear soup broth, eggs, and peanut butter, and I was told I wouldn't be able to have a full diet again. Fuck that. So I feel Viz is really cool for me. And like obviously Kyle Wilkes. Kyle Wilkes is a mentor of a mentee of Phil, and he's coaching Nick, and this Nick is a very good
Phil
Nick.
is a very smart mind and very intense personality.
It's a good
Um,
combination.
I really liked his stuff over the summer.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoy. He was pretty eye-opening from the nutrition side of things. The only thing, he mentioned how he would do like obviously high day, low day, and then end of a low day, he'll do like a cheat meal.
Hmm.
I would just do like a controlled refeed, but
You could. It's
yeah,
always
like
athlete dependent too.
yeah, like but that's the thing. There's a psychological aspect to this.
Yeah, some people can't do
Like
it.
I remember, there was one point in Sarah's prep, I said, go get a cheat meal. And later, after she told me, she's like, and this is a mistake I made, but she's like, I wish when you said to me to get a cheat meal, it's you said, oh, get 8 rolls of sushi or get a
Hmm.
burger and fries or whatever. And then I realized, like, in my head, me saying get a cheat meal would be a stress reliever, right? Because, like, oh, I
Yeah,
can relax, but maybe being overwhelmed by that choice for some people is not relieving. I know for me, like, if I got that, I know exactly what to get, right?
I agree. I just wanted
Not
to like put
not
the
not everyone is that way, and it's always like what we're saying is like it could be correct on book, everything could check out. Like for example, um, you could get everyone training that like let's say the train by JP plus Cosm hybrid.
hmm
Crazy mentality but perfect form, crazy execution, whatever. That will work 100 that will work better on paper. There's no debate of this.
I
There's
agree.
no debate that if you train a muscle through its function, insertion to origin, with less momentum and controlled reps, you're going to get more tension. There's no debate over this. But what if that's just not sustainable to someone? Now, for me, this is hard to understand because I love training that way. I'm very, very precise. Like, if I need to, I will go from a 2 plate Smith, 2.5, to 1 plate tomorrow if it means I could have better upper pecs.
Yeah,
I
I
can do
agree.
that. But some people, that's such a shocker to them, or they want something in between. So even though I don't understand it, it's like I don't know if sustainability is the right word because sustainability makes it sound like you're being a bit too flexible, but like longevity is a
Yeah,
better word
no, there
for it.
is. I understand where you're coming from with that, but there is some requirement for enjoyment. There is,
Yes.
right? The whole like it might not be perfect. Like I have pulled today. I'm gonna shrug fucking barbell rows today because I fucking love it. After that, I'll be a little bit more fancy and do everything properly. But like I'm just gonna throw shit around first. That's how I like
Yeah.
to train. Right? Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Am I gonna get injured? Fuck, maybe. But it's how I like to train. It's something I neglected. I never trained. I started working out while science was very popular. So a lot of people now I find neglected that almost old school approach when they first started working out. That now like it worked for them back then. It might work for you, but you skipped it, right? Especially when you're first starting out, you're gonna grow from fucking anything. All right, I love telling people that are new to lifting is yes, obviously worry about being intentional with how you train, but get really strong and just keep getting stronger. That's all that really matters at first. Then when you get to a point you can nitpick, or if you love to nitpick, then fucking nitpick everything. There's never really a right or wrong in bodybuilding, and I hate when people say like again, there's better and there's worse, but there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, like for example, um a hack squat on paper is better for quads than a Bulgarian with
Yeah.
dumbbells and free weights. Assuming you're doing them the same torso angle. But one thing is that coordination aspect from the Bulgarian,
Yep.
especially for hip function, is going to carry over into the hack squat. So it's not just that it's better or worse, things work together.
Yep.
Like you have a guy pressing 130s on incline, like dumbbell press, that is going to carry a lot into the machine. They're going to connect with that muscle better, assuming they're doing correct way. And they're going to set themselves up for success because bodybuilding is a sport and exercise slash training is our practice, and practice is what the practice of coordination and movement. So
Mhm.
this idea that that is all of a sudden neglected now, like I understand the rationale behind people maybe cuffing here and doing it like a lat pullover and stuff. I'm not doing it.
Absolutely not.
I'm not doing it.
Absolutely not.
Why? And this is a belief I have. If you can't connect, you can't grow off wide grip pull downs, and you can't grow off even like wide grip is pretty general. Then maybe you
Hmm.
go on a pull down machine, or maybe you do single arm. If you can't grow off that stuff, there's a very big problem going on.
Yep.
And Maybe that problem can be masked by doing this. Yes, maybe this can teach you to maybe extend the shoulder a bit better or depress a bit better, but I don't think this should be the bread and butter of growth. I think it's a tool. Like, for example, I do two sets of 10 to 12, like 50% intensity of just a single arm cable pullover
A cup.
right
I have a
before,
cup
just to
pullover.
get
Yeah.
blood. Just
Yep.
to get blood, just to connect because the lats or something. But, and I'm not saying like even a Keenan flap, I understand the rationale behind it and everything, but it all comes down to the total equation of training. So like on my website, I have something like I like technically like trademarked or whatever you want to call it. Like I have something called the Jedi 3-point model, which is what does the evidence show? What does your own and other anecdotal experience show? And what does your enjoyment want, right?
Yep.
Combine these three, that center of the diagram, that's where you want to be,
That's
likely.
literally the whole thing I was talking about that video I was telling you about on my TikTok before. Is just averaging information. It's all you have to do. The answers are always in the averages.
Hmm.
Especially in
Yeah,
bodybuilding, the answers are always going to be in the averages.
yeah. How how do you view training in general? So I know we've talked about this and that, but when it comes and how I want to ask this question is when it comes to your own physique or you're coaching someone, all of these things work together. None is better than the other.
Hmm.
But as coaches, we are probably anal more about one thing than the other.
Agreed.
We
Yeah.
will all because we have interests, right?
Of
So
course. Yeah.
for
Only
me,
human.
training is super important. Nutrition is becoming very, very important too. To me, training and timing. These are the two things I'm a very big like supporter of.
Timing of what? Like
Timing
nutrient
of
timing?
nutrients, timing of
Yeah. Okay.
cardio, timing of
Okay.
training relative to meals, all
Okay.
of these things. But when you're coaching someone, where is the area? Now I know you're meticulous from the enhanceable side of things,
Yeah, but and
but
the enhanced
where
get
do
too
you
much credit.
start? What's your foundation? Where's the one thing you always want to perfect for you?
So my baseline, the first thing I always do is the nutrition side of the thing. You dot every I and cross every T. So throughout, you understand whatever their needs may be, like whatever the protein allotment, their total. I don't really look at calories all too much anymore. It's typically macros and just build off of there. But you fill out every possible micronutrient first. That is it. So you pick your protein sources, the veggies, the fruits, the fats, the things that are going to fill the majority of the health supplements, and then you just fill in the required amount through carbohydrates. So I'm very anal about making sure that everything is matched. Typically, in bodybuilders, we will be deficient. We will have less fiber than you need. Right? Fiber is recommended 10 grams for every 1,000 calories you consume. I like 15 on the higher side. I do think it's more beneficial that way. And then you look at what you're missing. So for more often than not, we're Canadian. I'm in Canada at least, right? So all of us are vitamin D deficient, right? A fish oil, you're not going to get enough omega threes and sixes through your food. It's unlikely. And then a lot of bodybuilders are neglecting calcium, right? We're not going to have good calcium nutrition because how many of us really have dairy products? A lot of people have yogurt, but that's really it. Like I don't consume dairy. A lot of bodybuilders don't elect to strictly because of the gastric potential. So I will just dot every potential eye on those, make sure all the micros are filled out, and then you look at what you're missing, and that's where your exact supplement protocol will come in. Whatever you are deficient in, you can literally look down the list, pick up if you're short 500 milligrams of zinc. Chose a horrible one, zinc sub 100 milligrams a day, but something along those lines, that's where I will lie. With training, I will always start with the baseline. How many days can you train? What are your favorite exercises? What are your least favorite exercises? That is always going to be the baseline, strictly because if they can only train 5 days a week and you're going to make a program for six, now you're fitting in volume on days that don't need it. So what? And then you ask the exercises they do enjoy. A lot of times, they're a lot of fluff work. People really seem to like simpler things. And then the exercise you don't like, if they're borderline, I don't view many exercises as essential. But if you're listing like three hinges you don't like, we have a problem. A hinge, male or female, it doesn't matter. A hinge needs to be in your protocol. There is no. That's the only thing I can't do. It's I will not remove one hinge.
Especially not just for the glutes and hams, but I mean obviously adductors too, the
Just
erectors.
post,
Like
just
this is
everything,
like
just everything.
yeah.
And it's funny too. When I first got into the sport, deadlifting was the number one. Everybody hated it. There was no reason for it, science contradicting it. Sure, like even a direct deadlift, I don't typically program in. I will if that's their preferred hinge, but a hinge is mandatory. That is the only exercise that I deem mandatory is a hinging pattern. I don't understand. It takes full posterior. It's a fantastic movement. And then, you know what? Pressing movements, you can pick virtually any press and you will grow your chest, right? They're
Yeah.
just total bang for your buck. And people will argue that it's a high stimulus fatigue ratio, and that is true. But if you program it correctly, I don't find it too fatiguing.
Also,
I don't.
there's a merit to actually building a tolerance to a movement like that. The more you
Yeah,
get used to it, the less fatigue you are going to produce. You're going to become more
100%.
accurate. You're going to improve your coordination, and it is going
Yep.
to become better. Like I heard this from Joe Bennett, and I started implementing it as well. It's like if you have a guy who's been inclined dumbbell pressing for like 2, 3 years, perfect form, are they really gonna grow that much better on the incline Smith? Like, let's say you're working with this person for a set duration. Do you really want to transfer that time of continuing to make progress off this movement all the way to like relearn a movement and then master it and this and that? So it's like this is where programming comes in, right? It's
Mhm.
considerations, history, where we need to be and everything. So one thing I've noticed is a lot of people will say they have weak points and they don't really have glaring
No.
weak points because if you do the basics, everything's going to grow proportionally. Sure, some people should just be more developed overall. That seems to be the common thing.
Hmm.
But what I will say is for some reason, people just don't have arms anymore.
Nope. Well, I think that's
Yeah.
because the popularization of like push pull legs.
Yeah,
And a lot of times
I
the end of a
also think
session.
like like people don't really beat up the arms, or I've never gone through a phase of beating up the arms. Like, look, this is a bit hypocritical for me to say, because they're one of
I
my
agree
better
with you.
body parts, but
Hmm.
I've never actually hammered them with crazy volume.
Oh, so sorry, I'm just my phone's dying. Let me plug it
Yeah,
in.
yeah, all
But
good.
I've always been like end of your pull day. I'll shorten and a lengthen movement. Do a preacher curl and
Yeah.
like a incline curl. I have started a little bit more on the bro science side of the thing, and honestly, just started hammering. Like I mean, hammering, rest, pause, drops, supersets. My arms are fucking. I don't know if it's just sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, just a significantly more blood sitting on
Mm.
them now. Yeah, I
Okay,
noticed the difference.
I'm gonna ask you for the
Mhm.
audience and for our own reinforcement. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. What is it? Does it stay? Because there's a huge debate on if it stays,
Yeah,
especially in a prep. What is
you know
it?
what?
Does it stay? How to keep it?
We don't know, right? Unfortunately, we don't. However, my whole stance is if something has been studied as extensively as it has been to be effective, there is a scientific term for it. There's merit for it. It's there. It exists. It can't be useless. Can it be less effective? Absolutely. But that's again, you're looking at something. It's very hard to progress your arms over time, right? You're not going to get much stronger. So how are they growing? That's not. I always challenge people like that. You're gonna what? Uh, when you get really strong on a preacher curl, how strong is that really? How much are you able to increase session to session? Right? There's going to be points that stalemates for very long periods of time, and sure, it's still progressing, but again, to what extent? So, I think there is merit to something that has evidence, not much, right? It's not studied all too much, but there is evidence for it. I can't say it doesn't work. Um, do I
I've
think you
always done a
keep it?
mix of just pure
Yeah,
tension and stuff like that. Recently, I've been more on the tension side of things. My suspicion is that even though we don't get stronger, assuming things are going correctly, just rep quality is improving.
yeah,
So
it's
then
still
tension's
progression. That's still
increasing. So it still could be tension. But I like, let's say you do like a 15 rep set and you go to failure just before. Like I've done that a few times, and that body part. For
yeah.
example, I used to do high rep JM presses specifically for my lateral head of the tricep. They would
That'll
be
grow.
visibly fuller the day after.
Yep.
Visibly fuller. Like my arm would go from like this to more of that shotgun barrel look.
Hmm.
So then I was like, okay, this is like an experiment I'm still conducting, and like I have a few physiques I work with who train this way for almost every body part, and some body parts are crazy developed, some not. I think at the end of the day, everything comes back down to execution. But then once that's in place, it's like, again, sarcoplasmic isn't better. It's just,
No.
or
So this is not a
worse, it's
tool.
just one of the parts of the equation. We know tension is a primary growth factor. This is not like a,
It's not
but
made up. Yes.
yeah, but like that doesn't mean there aren't other things. Like it's so funny, right? Like I was making a video on my car yesterday. I didn't post it because it was like me kind of in the car. I'm like, this is not a nice layout. But it's like people always say pump doesn't matter, but then
Such an
they'll try
important
one of
metric.
these new science-based exercises, and then I'll be like, oh, they'll be like, yeah, dude, it's the craziest exercise. I'm like, oh, how come? They'll be like, yeah, bro, I got a crazy pump from it. I'm like, you said pumps don't matter. And it's
This,
like we have to understand that, like, sorry to cut you off, like
you're
a
good. You're
pump
good.
is, it's a local pooling of nutrients because the contraction is occurring because there's tension on the muscle. That is what a pump is. So to say that it doesn't matter, this is where I think people lose it, right? I think people are trying to say, instead of them saying a pump isn't the primary growth factor, they say it doesn't matter. Instead of saying high rep ranges are the best thing ever, they say high rep ranges suck. They
Yep.
don't
It's
understand this is a
experience.
part of a 10-12 piece equation.
Yep. It's funny. I was going to mention before the nutrient partitioning part of it. The objective as a bodybuilder is to consume the most amount of nutrients and use the most amount of nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole objective with it. All you're doing is sending blood flow to the muscle that you are training. That is exactly what you want. It's not like a byproduct of a poor set or a good set. Pumps are exactly what you want. Matter of fact, they
Yeah.
are. When you think about it too, when you make it very simple, they're essential. They are when you think about it as very simple. Like how else is nutrients going to get to your tissue?
Yeah, well, literally, so what blood will do is it acts like a river, takes nutrients, small intestine, delivers it to a muscle.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
nutrients are used to produce glycogen, for chemical signaling, protein, all these things.
Hmm.
And question for later, but I want to get later more into the electrolyte side of things. Right now, it will be such
That's
a
my
huge
favorite.
turn,
That's my
but
favorite.
yeah, no, you're 100% right, and it's like, now, when does pump not matter? Because it does matter, but when does it not matter? Now,
The
obviously,
only
never doesn't matter, but if someone's in a contest prep and they're super flat and they're
That's
not
where I
getting
was
a
going.
pump,
Yeah. You also, but
that's the only
again,
time where it's like, you know.
the objective of your prep is not to grow. The
Hmm.
objective of your prep is just to honestly finish when you're that far into it. You're
Hmm.
trying to get lean, you're trying to get peeled. You are not in a state, an anabolic environment at all. You are not going to be putting on tissue. So the pump is not exactly relevant. It's not even a metric that I'd consider important at that point in time. The same thing going if you are too beyond, if you are too fat, like if you lost all your insulin response, and you're going to the gym and you're not getting a pump. The only good data that that has is that it's telling you pull back down. Right? If you're losing pumps on either end, that's a good way to look at it. If you're losing a pump at all, right? We should all, as long as your fluids intact, your nutrition's intact, you're in a healthy body fat range, you should be having pumps. But if you're too far gone, you're well above that 20-25% body fat realm and you're not getting pumps, you have to pull back down. And the other
Oh my
side
God,
being,
dude. So you remember what I told you before? How like I got
yeah,
like I was
yeah.
super overbulked? Yeah. So like imagine I'm going to the gym and like, dude, listen, I grew like crazy. Like whether I looked fat or not doesn't matter. Like I put on tissue. But like I had people coming up to me and like in the university gym, they're like, dude, what did you do? You know? I had people who didn't like me come, and I knew they didn't like me, come up to me and be like, dude, what did you do? And I just told him, like, obviously, like, eat big to get big. At the time, I found my way
Yeah.
to rationalize it. And this is one other thing. It's very easy to rationalize everything if you're always trying to find, like,
Yep.
textbook
We all do
answers
it.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you could technically argue, oh, yeah, more food, more nutrients, more this and that. But then when you understand what is training, what is the purpose of training, what is happening physiologically, what is happening with our hormones, what is happening with our digestion, what is happening with our health, everything, all of this works together. So when you understand how it works together, it's very easy to know what's right and wrong more often. Whereas if you only know 2 out of 5 pieces of the puzzle, I think it's easy to convince yourself stuff. And I think it all comes back to one thing. It's like something I try and preach is like you should know the basics, like the root of everything you're explaining. You should know how to explain this stuff to a toddler. Because if you know how to explain training to a toddler and a bit of nutrition, but you can't really explain hormones, you can't really explain digestion, this and that, then how are you going to know if what you're doing right now is the absolute best thing you could be doing?
Yeah. How would you even know if it's really working?
Yeah, but I remember I got no pumps. I got no
Yeah.
pumps. People are like, dude, you're so huge. And I'm like, like, thank you, but like, dude, I got no pumps. I was training very well. I was really strong.
No.
Like I was pulling 3.5 plates for like 7 off a 7-inch deficit for RDLs. Like
Impressive.
it
Yeah.
was pretty big weight. But
That's
like
impressive.
I remember I started, and this is another thing I noticed is everyone talks about losing muscle and going flat in low body fat ranges. No one talks about how poor nutrient partitioning and poor health can cause that in higher body fats too.
Yep. Oh,
Because
it's so bad.
yeah, and especially when you're at a high body fat and you all of a sudden are trying to get down really quick, or you have like, for example, like I was at 30% body fat, eating 5,500, then I'm at maybe like 25, eating 1,600. Um, Obviously, that
Still
was not
insane.
necessarily my decision,
It's
but
still insane.
when you're in this position, what is the one thing that's going on? You have low energy availability. So now you start
Yep.
going flat, even though you don't have the typical environment to go flat, which is lean, right? You have low
Hmm.
energy availability. You start to go flat. You're not recruiting as many high threshold motor units. Then your training starts to suffer, and then you go like, "What's happening?" And then you blame yourself. Oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm not working hard enough. And then and now I look back a year later. I'm like, okay, look at my skin now. I quit all skincare. I
Yeah.
quit all skincare. I don't use anything. But this is not because I quit skincare only. It's because I stopped being fat,
Yep.
for
It's
starters.
it's
Because the
insane.
inflammation you have at that level, the
Brutal.
food you have to eat to get to that level, and this is another thing. Like I'm working with a guy right now, and I had him on 4,000 ish calories, 4,100, and then I learned this lesson through myself. He's now at 3,000, eating very clean, gaining just as much and a bit more increases in the muscular side of things
Yeah.
rather than just total body weight. And it comes out like calories are not equal.
No. No. There's you can go down that rabbit hole. I'm so curious because we're never gonna be able to challenge it. Calories in, calories out is a law, right? So it's very hard to challenge a law, but you see all these crazy stories of people doing things that contradict science. Hell, if you ever saw, did you see what I did with my client Sam? Did I ever tell you about that on my story?
Sam, Sam who?
Sam Him. He's like friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
Did
boy.
he ever? Did anybody
Yeah.
ever tell you that what happened on our diet?
No, tell me.
Is he can't. So peak bulk, he was eating just about 4,200 ish calories.
Yeah.
He was around 210, 212. We ended his diet 10 weeks later. He was 177 was his lowest. His total food drop was 130 calories.
How much tissue
130,
did you gain in that time?
a whole subjective because we don't actually know because he's coming from like a very like he was peak bulk, he was fluffy, but he dieted down in 9 weeks. He grew like a motherfucker.
Hmm.
And like all I was doing, to be fair, yes, I was monitoring his body temperature, but it contradicts so much that science tells us. There's no reason that should have been happening. His cardio was 4 by 30. Yes, he's enhanced. We had some fat burners in play, but by no means anything crazy at all. So I'm very curious if there's ever
I
going to
have
be
a I
somebody.
have a I have a question
Hmm.
because now this is like what I wondered. What I'm wondering because I'm also doing the thing where right now, like now that I'm working with Kyle, he's feeding me higher and higher, like every 2 3 weeks, and I'm getting leaner and leaner.
Yeah.
So I know from my position now, I assume Sam wasn't in the same over dieted. position as I was. Is that
No,
correct?
he was just
Okay,
coming from
so you
just
took him off
yeah,
peak ball.
yeah.
Now, let me ask you, do you think this potentially occurs because maybe thyroid starts to regulate a bit better and then insulin
Absolutely.
becomes a bit more
Yeah.
sensitive? So these are the two obvious ones. Now, let's just forget calories in, calories out for a second. What do you think else is going on?
So obvious GI distress, right? I don't like a lot of coaches seem to do this. I don't like options. Like if you're gonna have a meal where like you can pick rice or sweet potato or one of four protein sources or one of two fat sources, I do not like that. There needs to be some homeostasis in your nutrition, right? If you really want to capitalize on everything that our gut is capable of, it has to be the same shit day in, day out, find what works and keep it. So there is that obvious. There's a lot of options. There wasn't much activity. Um a lot of people don't seem to realize this, but your liver is very fucking important for your thyroid health. So if your liver is not actively draining, your T3 is going to go down to nothing. Your
What do you mean
T4
by
is going to.
draining?
So it's how your liver actually functions, right? It's liver drainage. That's why, like, you losing water weight coming show day. That's liver drainage, right? So dandelion root is something that expels liver fluid, things along those lines. Diuretics, same thing, stored fluid. But if it's not activating, you cannot possibly, because T4 to reverse T3 to T3. That's how thyroid works. T3 is the active one, T4 is the one we produce. So if you take in somebody, yes, you can supplement in, let's say you're in a really poor spot, your liver's not draining well, your gastric emptying's not well, you're going to throw in T4, like a higher amount of T4, because if everything is perfect, a higher amount of T4 will end up being a higher amount of T3. But if you're going to start loading somebody on T3, it's not changing or they're getting fatter, something is wrong. That's a good answer there. So that's why like I tend to use just the T3 side of things, but that was a little bit sidetracked. You wanted to go. So that's it, right? So you have obviously the thyroid being the crucial one. It's not just the half important. The thyroid is the main one to that equation. It is what's required. It is literally the predictor of your metabolism. How hot does your body get throughout the day? How much food can you possibly burn? That is the most important thing when it comes to metabolic health. Then GI distress, you need to make sure you are digesting everything properly, right? Contradictory, but we're not supposed to be bloated. We're not supposed to be gassy. Many times you'll scroll on TikTok or social media and just be, hey guys, just a reminder that bloating is normal. No, it's fucking not. It's
No, it's not.
common. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. It's very different. So there's that. And then, oh, yes, your liver. And then also hydration. I don't think people just realize how important hydration is, right? Just you
Okay,
want to
let's get
keep.
into this topic. Continue, yeah.
Okay. You have to make sure if you are dehydrated, your body does not function at all. Let alone if you're dehydrated with gastric distress. I was just talking to somebody at the Toronto Pro Show last week, and they were talking about the potential of dehydration from using something with like you slowing down gastric emptying. If you are not hydrated, nothing works. Our body runs off of adrenals, right? They are powered by electrons. It is literally electrolytes functioning your body. One of the fastest way to feel like shit. It's not fasting from food. Just imagine pull out all sodium, all potassium, and all fluid. Good luck getting anything fucking done. So electrolytes as a whole, same thing in the
Okay.
morning. That's
Yeah,
I
go on.
yeah. So the mornings too, like caffeine's a big one. First thing people do in the morning, have a cup of coffee, right? Caffeine bases off adenosine.
Diuretic.
Yeah, caffeine is
Yeah.
also it interacts with your adenosine inhibitor. It doesn't make you awake. It makes you not feel tired.
Yes,
Very
okay,
different.
okay, okay. We're getting into this
Yeah.
right now. We're getting into this
Okay.
right now.
It
This
is
is
very
this
different.
is the thing that frustrates the crap out of me, dude.
Yeah.
Is this whole caffeine culture we have in bodybuilding. So, yes. So, what you said about adenosine. So, what does that mean? Caffeine is a masking agent.
Yep. That's
It
all it does.
masks
Is it?
fatigue.
Yep.
When are you developing a lot of fatigue? When you're training hard, probably towards the highest ends of your growth phase in your prep. Now imagine you're consuming something that's making you believe you're completely fine, right? So
Brutal.
I remember this dude. And by the way, another thing, guys, decaf coffee still has caffeine.
Still has caffeine in
It
it.
has like 85, 90% less.
Better
Like,
yet, everybody loves these.
yeah.
You're right. I think this. What does this one have? 60 megs of caffeine, something like that.
So I
Oh, this one
quit
only has 40.
I fully quit caffeine for like a good year, and then I just reintroduced like when I was in Canada, like Sarah's show and stuff, like, dude, it was the best experience of my life, like prepping her, like shows back
Yeah,
to back, but like going back and forth from like Richmond Hill to Toronto and driving here and there, going up
it's
here
hell,
for video
bro.
shoot, dude, it beat me up. Like it beat me
Yeah,
up. So I was living off the like cold brews and stuff every morning from Starbucks, and um basically I remember, so then I kind of got a little used to caffeine, but not that much, because I was still having maybe 70 mgs. Let's
yeah,
say
nothing
70.
really.
So, but like even now, if I have like a Diet Coke, I get amped. If I have a
Yeah,
cup of
it's a
tea, I
good
get
thing.
amped. Um, so one thing I'm trying to fix, because like I don't know if I can fully cut it out, because I still do see some benefits in it, but
Of
I'm trying to
course.
figure out what is the slowest releasing source. Because okay, one thing I noticed, pre-workouts most energizing, but they give you the worst like liver dump. Like
In and out.
coffee depends, but that as well. Tea
Hmm.
kind of. Diet. See, so I wonder. I mean, I'm sure you'll know this, but like, because I don't, is I assume obviously all of these deliver caffeine probably in a slightly different way, and they use a different source of caffeine, so probably caffeine quality is a part of it too. But like, is there any caffeine source that like kind of chills out? Because like the one thing I was saying is like, this is what I call the caffeine hole. Is you get used to drinking caffeine so much that you don't actually know how tired your body is, because caffeine doesn't make you more energetic. It just makes you feel less tired, which makes
Yep.
you think you're more energetic. So you're not actually more. This is all perception, right?
Yeah,
Because of the
that's all
brain,
it
which
does.
is a fascinating thing. And then
Dude, it's
from there,
ridiculous.
you're constantly digging into this hole. You're digging into this hole over and over. Then what happens when one day you don't have it? You don't just suffer physically. Like this has happened with my athletes. They'll get depressed, like properly, like
Off
depressed.
caffeine?
Yeah, yeah, like depressed. Have a full like I was working with someone, and both of the times they stopped caffeine on a very extreme fat loss phase, both of the times, and I've seen this time and time again happen. They completely like just crashed because like it hits you like a train. Because imagine
That's
all
insane.
of this built up fatigue is now
Fatigue,
perceived,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Well, that's why a lot of people you see after prep, the first 3 days, they really just sleep. They don't do too much. They kind of unwind. They're just accumulation of fatigue over time, and boom. But you did ask quality of caffeine sources, so I've never really delved into this too much. But there was a podcast I listened to with a neuroscientist talking about this. Is majority of caffeine that we're consuming through supplements is synthetic, right? If not all of it is synthetic. Versus even energy drinks, same thing. Coffee, tea, that yerba mate stuff that all come from natural
Cocoa
sources
beans
tend
as
to,
well. People forget
yeah,
that. Dark
cocoa beans
chocolate per
too.
100 grams, 85 grams of caffeine.
Yeah, no, it's
85
85
milligrams.
milligrams.
Yeah,
Milligrams,
yeah, sorry, sorry.
85 grams of caffeine. Someone would be rolling in the floor right there. But
Yeah,
they
85 milligrams.
seemingly have a better response to natural sources. The crash
Mm.
seems to be less. Like in a tea setting, a lot of tea has theanine in it anyways, right? Theanine smooths out the adverse effects of caffeine. But versus
I
things where
didn't
like I'm
know
pretty
that. That's so cool. Okay.
yeah, right. So caffeine depends on the source, but again, like I think in like these diet drinks that everyone's consuming, I'm pretty sure the caffeine's just added to either make it addictive or for the flavor part of it. I'm not
I know
sure because it doesn't make
Starbucks like
sense.
puts so much caffeine in their drinks.
Yeah, I don't know what it comes down to when it comes to like a diet Coke and stuff because a regular Coke doesn't have caffeine in it. So I don't know
So
why they're caffeinated. I think it might just
interesting.
be maybe it's to kind of manipulate because hey, there's no sugar in it. There's not going to be an acute energy increase from it. I'm not sure. Like we're trying to remember these are brilliant marketers, not food scientists that create Coca-Cola. Right? Their whole objective is to make people want to consume it. So I assume it's something along those lines. I'm not too sure when it
Yeah,
comes to Coke.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, and
Um, another thing is so okay, someone wants to consume caffeine, let's just say.
mhm.
How can they do it and gain as many pros from it and as little cons? How can they structure that?
The issue with that is to get the most out of it, you have a small window. You don't have a crazy big window for it. So first and foremost, it does fuck all for you the first 2 hours of your day. It does absolutely nothing. Your adenosine is not active yet. You want to be wide awake in the morning. Wake up, take a liter of soda fluid with 800 milligrams of sodium, 400 milligrams of potassium, and 200 milligrams of magnesium. Your adrenals work the second you wake up. Boom, there's your morning coffee cocktail that'll get you going. But with caffeine, right? It's in you for so damn long that anytime after 1, 2 o'clock, it's not really ideal anymore. Unless you go to bed really late. But again, you should be sleeping relatively close to the circadian clock if you're in this sport and you really give a shit about progress. Your sleep should be pretty much synergistic with the sun coming up and down. But
Why?
so how?
What? So okay. I have a question because I've noticed
Hmm.
this from my experience, and I've talked to this about this with Kyle a bit as well. Um, so okay, I've noticed even when I've consistently slept, because sleep is something like I've really been improving lately. But I noticed before, like previous habits would be like I'd sleep between 1 to 2 a.m. and
Hmm.
then especially when I get used to working, because like Matt Walker,
I
Why
don't
We
believe so.
Sleep, author of
Oh
Why
yes,
We.
yes, yes,
He's
yes.
he's the
I
man.
have.
Check out his
Oh,
stuff.
it's right there. Yeah,
Have you read it?
yeah. I was looking for it on my desk then. It's in my
Dude,
my dad's office then.
it's
It's a
like
great book.
that was the first book I read that was like an information book, and I realized that that's like besides biographies and like typical self-growth stuff,
Text
like
me
I love
after.
reading.
Remind
Yeah.
me after. I'm gonna send you about a dozen books that I've been going
Oh yeah,
through,
yeah,
and they're
dude.
so fun.
But let me just put this on the agenda because um what was it? Yeah, because okay, so basically um I noticed when I slept consistently from like 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. versus sleeping like crap from 11 p.m. to like 6 or 5. The day where I wake up after waking up 6 or 5 off crap sleep is always better.
Yeah. So people
So
don't seem to
explain the
realize that.
synergy of sunrise and sunset in congruence with our sleep. Like why? Why not just sleep consistently? Why is it with the sun?
Whenever someone asks questions like these, I like going back to like the root of mankind. Right? There was no technology, there's no clocks, there's no nothing. When was everybody sleeping? Right? How did they wake
Yeah.
up? How did they go to bed? Just as simple and cut and dry, and it's so boring and not flashy. Yet you can't challenge it strictly because there was no other choice. That's how it worked. That's how we were meant to be.
Yeah.
Now I understand nowadays a lot of us have real jobs and then side jobs and other things we are trying to compile together. And time is finite. We do not have a lot of time, so we have to make everything fit in ways we can. So if you were somebody who can't really sleep like that, the first thing I do when I wake up is my lights turn on. I wake up well before the sun. My lights go on. Every light on my floor is up. Into the washroom, I'm exposing myself to light until I have sunlight. Second one is the second the sun goes down, you are walking in the dark. Everything is turned off. From a biological setting, our clock is the same as nature's clocks. It's how we are functioning, right? Our body rests and recovers when the sun goes down, and we're alert and awake while it's up. It's how we were. It's just how our biology is aligned for. So the closer you can get to replicating that, and obviously, where in Canada right now, it's hard because the sun goes down close to 7 and doesn't come up until like 7. But the closest you can get to mirroring that and using tools like you can get those sunrise clocks. I had one for such a long time, like the little thing on your desk, and it doesn't set an alarm. It just the sun rises, and that's how you wake up. And it's fascinating because it works
What's it
without a
called?
sound. So the real one's called a Hatch. It's about $300. So I bought like a knockoff one on Amazon. It's shaped like a sun, and they just light up progressively more and more, and
It's
you're
called a
waking up.
sunrise clock.
I think the brand name one is called Hatch, but you can just search up like a sunrise clock, and there'll
Dude,
be a
this is
bunch of them.
so cool. I've heard about this
Yeah,
before, but I've never searched it up to see it.
dude, they are insane. You just put it beside your bed, and you set it to the brightest setting, and it will gradually. Like I set it for like an hour. For a whole hour, it is progressively getting brighter in my room, and then I'll wake up near the end of it. Seemingly, like 48 minutes is what it was beforehand.
And how do you feel good when you wake up off this versus just normally waking up? Is there any difference? Have you
Well,
noticed?
are you somebody that sets an alarm? Like,
No,
do you set an alarm to wake up in the
no,
morning?
I
Okay,
don't
so you're
believe in
fortunate.
alarms because obviously I read the book and it basically talks about how like okay, so first majority of our REM sleep, I believe, is in the last 2 hours of our sleep
Yes.
cycle, or the last
Yes.
like 25% of our sleep cycle. So to those who don't know, REM sleep is basically rapid eye movement sleep. This is where you dream. So this is why you always wake up after you
Yeah.
dream or during your dream. And this is basically where you're processing, I think, so cognitive function, emotional regulation, and then like social behavior, things of these sorts. So basically everything in the brain that's not associated with, what do you call it? It's less of a nervous system thing, I think is the easiest way to say it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
No, you're right.
and then so basically when you use an alarm, chances are you're going to be disrupted during this period, and this dictates a lot of productivity and focus during the day.
It's not even that too. It's just such a surge of cortisol first thing in the morning. Right? There's a
Dude,
loud
it's the
noise that you're
worst
spiking to
feeling.
turn off. It's horrible, right? It is horrible. Like there's not too much data on it. Unfortunately, there's more and more coming out. But I heard it for the first time a few months ago, and I never put too much thought into it. Like sometimes I wake up early. I have to work early. I'll set an alarm. It's so funny when you realize how much the little things will add up as the day comes on. And the second your cortisol gets compiled and it's too high for the whole day, nothing you do is effective anymore. Nothing. So that's my stance. Like if you can get this, put the thing sound off and just let it rise, and you're waking up to it. That's the caveat too. If you are not capable of waking up to a bright light progressing in your room, something else is really wrong. Right? You're either not sleeping early enough, you're not sleeping well enough, your hygiene's bad, you're eating right before you go to bed, something. But you should be able to have this ridiculously bright light emulating the sun, nature's
Mhm.
clock in your room. You should be waking up.
Okay, so you mentioned eating before bed, and I want to kind of dive into like a quick topic. So this is the avatar that's asking this question. So this is someone that are following their calories or hitting their protein goal,
Hmm.
maybe have a rough idea of meal timing, nutrient timing, and all these things, likely understands it. Where do they go from there? What is the next level of that? So, how can we turn just the typical bodybuilding diet and structure and take it to a whole nother level? So,
That
how
I
would you
like.
time it for
Yeah.
sleep? How would you time it for wake? Any nutrients or supplements you find are not are overlooked, maybe protein ratios that maybe need to be changed. Okay, someone is just following the
A
typical hit
plan?
your calories, eat decently clean food, hit your protein. What's the next level from there? And then from that point, what's the even more next level?
See, I don't like. I get where you're coming from with it. I like right and wrong. I don't like better, best,
I like right
whatever.
and wrong
I,
too, but people are
I like
sensitive.
right
So
and
let's
wrong.
go to right and wrong.
I
I've
don't.
heard some
I
people.
don't give a shit about people's sensitivity. To be
Let's
honest with
do
you,
it.
if you're gonna do something, you do it right.
Yeah.
But obviously, okay, I'm work top down because that's honestly more important rather than top bottom up. So top, do not eat too close to sleep. A lot of people seem to be okay with it, and no, it's not because it's gonna make you fat or whatnot. But you're not digesting horizontally. You're not. While we're sleeping too, the objective is to go to sleep, cool down, and then warm up to wake. If you have indigestion and you have food that is not digesting, you are not going to cool down. The
Yes.
food
Yes.
has a thermic effect. Everybody seems to understand to hear about that now and know about it, but they don't
Do you
put into
track do
practice.
you track pre-bed body temperature?
So no, typically I only do fasted first meal, second meal. But you
Cool.
could.
Okay.
That's a good metric too, right? You want it if you can be consistent with it. It's more so just the temperature of your room. But again, you want to be able to, for your temperature to drop while you're sleeping and then to rise to wake. If you are eating too close, you're not going to drop sufficiently and your sleep cycle is going to be disturbed. Then the next step for that, which I've recently learned about and I'm fascinated by it, is everyone always rushes for this anabolic window. Eat post workout. If you are in a fight or flight state, those
You're not
nutrients
gonna
aren't doing,
digest well.
they are not doing fuck all for you.
You know what
Nothing.
I learned this from Ben Pakulski from his videos.
I think
Yeah.
recently I heard Phil Viz talk about it, but you put into practice, like I'm that first person, like I bring my meals to it. Most of the time I'm out all day. So I have all meals with me. I'll eat in my car after the gym and I'll go to what's next. versus now. Like I used to not really believe in intra workout nutrition. I didn't know if it always made sense. I have gastric issues alone, and majority of carbohydrates are higher osmolarity. They require more water to digest, and then I bloat. But I have implemented it back in just to stay in an anabolic state long enough that I can get to digest and relax. And then I can eat the food when the nutrients are really required, when I need them, when I'll use them. Versus if you're going to shove your face right after you eat, or you train, it's not being utilized properly. And then one thing that about the mornings, which I know there is absolutely zero data about this, but if you wake up to an alarm, they can actually piece puzzles to put puzzle pieces together right now. But you're waking up to an alarm, or you didn't sleep well, or you're rushing and your cortisol is really high, and you go down and slam that first meal just to get it before you go out the door. Again, it's not going to be utilized properly. Your body has to be super sympathetic when you are eating, otherwise super parasympathetic when you are eating, otherwise nothing is going to be utilized properly. So coming from someone with a GI history, like I'm the first person to say, like some mornings if I work at 5:30 in the morning and I wake up at 3:30 to an abrupt alarm, I go and shower and I'm not awake, but I'm just going to eat to get everything synchronous. I won't eat again until 11 o'clock. I don't want food. I don't feel good. Right. So there's your success leaves clues. Your body will leave clues. Yes, we're all biologically different. It's not going to be the same for all of us. But if you are not in a spot to digest the food, eating is not a good option. It just isn't. I understand sometimes it's a requirement. It is. But for the vast majority of people looking to optimize things, get into this routine where everything is it's almost scheduled. And that's the only way that I do nutrition properly is eat when you know it's the right time to eat. Food comes into play at this time, but you have to give yourself enough time. And then honestly, it contradicts a lot of bodybuilding. The less eating windows, the better up to a certain point. I think 4 meals a day is pretty much perfect. People don't like that, but the less we are digesting, the better it is for us. So that's kind of my stance on like really optimizing like nutrient timing and things along those lines. I don't. There's again, it's not really much data, but it's just you just see it working and it makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. Um, do you do the typical like 1 gram of protein per pound, or do you go a bit higher than that?
I go a lot higher than that. I go a lot higher than that.
What do you
Again, it's
do
something that
with if an athlete joins you? What's the rough starting?
well, it's typically between like 1.3 and 2 grams per pound. It depends on how heavy the athlete is and also how well they digest it. Very rarely have I used 2 grams. I've tried it myself and I've seen like Greg, for example, does pretty much 2 grams per pound. It's hard to tell when there's no data supporting it. There's none. Or you can eat more and it wasn't deemed useful, but how the fuck do you know? Right? Like at the end, these weren't bodybuilders doing these studies. They weren't enhanced bodybuilders alone, too. With anabolics and accelerating muscle protein synthesis, what says they can't use more protein? Right? The whole objective is you're speeding up the rate that we accrue protein synthesis. So why wouldn't more protein be beneficial to something like that? I don't think. I don't think 1 gram per pound is bad. Well, if you're getting that 1 gram through trace sources as well, then I think it's likely insufficient. I think 1.5 for the most part is a great spot for most people.
Yeah, I've done similar to that. Now, we touched on electrolytes previously, and I want to talk about that. Okay. Is there so there's this is there a scenario where someone can be having, let's say, water intake, let's say like 4 liters a day, right? They
Hmm.
have their 4 liters, but they're still not hydrated. Is that due to electrolyte imbalance?
Absolutely. It's
And how do you
not only,
address that? So, how do you go from there?
well, first and foremost, you look at urine quality, color. If it's foamy, there's plenty of different things that will kind of say how powerful a stream is, as silly as that sound. Right? These are questions I will ask. How you implement it in, it's if your meals are the same, right? Either you're someone who salts their protein sources as they cook or salts their meals. If nothing else is changing, you're just gonna have to supplement it in. So, for example, here, this is 2 liters. Right? In here, I have 800 milligrams of sodium, 400 milligrams of potassium. I'll have four of those throughout the day, right? Partially because I enjoy it and I'm supplementing the electrolytes that I'd be losing. Therefore, the extra fluid is not going to hurt me.
Do
You
you
can never
have
really.
like a rough basis for like, I don't know, for example, some people do like we talk about protein 1 gram per pound of body weight. Do you have any rough measurement you do for sodium and potassium per kilo or per pound?
So, Stan Efferding, do you know who that is?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. You know how many people I've asked that lately, and so many people say no. But
You want to
it's
know
for.
how I first found out about him was um see, this is what I love about like Stan and Ben is like they're true masters. Ben
Yep.
Pekulski, like
Yep.
they've been bodybuilders and now they're really into the longevity space, and it's like it's so cool to see that. But I actually first found out about him on Shark Tank
Yeah.
when I
With
was a kid, and
the
I
he,
never looked into him. But then like 2 3 years later, I got into bodybuilding, so right away there was a familiar face. So I really I think a big reason is I still somewhat survived my crazy bulk is I would walk after every meal.
I still have it programmed in. Every meal I'm walking. I will never
Yeah.
take that out. So when I first read his book, he has a little hydration tidbit, and it was per
What's
liter
the
of
book
fluid
called?
was they're just the vertical diet.
Oh, is it like a
His
hard
whole
copy
thing.
or like a PDF?
No, so I have it somewhere. It's like a little whatever, like a soft cover thing. It's just a
Okay,
regular
cool.
book. It's only like 40, 50, I think it was maybe 60 pages. Nothing crazy. It's cheap. But in that, he expresses like around a gram of sodium per liter of fluid. Right. And then also you have to factor in every reduction of electrolytes while we are training is a massive reduction in training performance. Not a little, a massive. I think it was Mike Israetel that was talking about it, and he was pulling up. It was on one of his older videos, but it was the numbers are ridiculous. So I just think no matter what fluid you are consuming around the day, pick a ratio, right? Like this, if I did by that approach, I'd have just about 2 grams of sodium in this, and then drink four of those a day. That's likely too much. But just throughout the day, everything I
How
have
much
is I'm
water do you
consuming
drink a
enough.
day? What's your water target?
So I try to have 2.5 gallons a day.
So 8 liters?
Just about, yeah. My
Yeah.
my reasoning for that though, it is on the higher side. I have a colon disorder. Where is
Yes.
70% of where is majority of your fluid stored?
Yeah.
Your colon. So I want to just be
Yeah.
constantly moving. I don't want anything spooling and sitting around and not being utilized properly. So this way, it's just I'm constantly going to the washroom, and it works very well for me. But
So now you mentioned that you have like a form. So for per liter of water, it's 1 gram of sodium.
yeah, that's
What
what
about
his approach
potassium?
was. So potassium should, on paper, they want it to be, according to like the recommendations, a 2-to-1 ratio of sodium to potassium. However, the part that nobody tracks the potassium through protein sources. If you're consuming yogurt, cottage cheese, chicken, eggs, there is so much potassium in there. So the answer is we don't know, because I will always add potassium to my drinks just because I want the ratio to be right.
Does it have a
2-to-1,
taste?
done. So there's two ways to do it. One, you can buy an electrolyte supplement that's flavored. Or like what I did for the longest time is I just have regular salt, and then you can buy like salt-free salt, and all that
Yes.
is potassium. So you just look at the
Yes.
back and see how much it ends up needing to be to get the milligram ratio that you want. Put that into my drink, and then I'd add like a squirt of Mio or something. That's how I
Okay.
do it. It's much cheaper,
Okay. I'm
because
gonna ask you
if you were
just a
to do it the other
few.
way, go
So
ahead, go
a
ahead, go.
few final. Yeah. Sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, no, you're good. I was
Oh,
just
okay.
gonna say
Okay.
it tastes like shit if you don't.
Yeah. Because okay. Yeah. Quick question, and then I'll get on to the
Mhm.
final ones. So you talked about meal. So meal got me thinking about artificial sweeteners.
Yeah,
What is because it does hurt the gut. This is not like, but how much
yeah.
of it? How much of it?
You know what? I like to use myself an example. I'm very predisposed to any potential gut issue. I really don't struggle with them all too much.
Me
I
neither.
don't,
Me neither.
right? You look at protein powders, pre workouts, EAAs, BCAAs, every single supplement is artificially sweetened. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, right? There are going to be some brands that aren't, but then you're paying the premium price tag for it to taste worse. So naturally, we're going to drift from that. But to what extent, we don't know. Nothing, like all evidence says it doesn't. but yet every bodybuilder will pull them out 2 weeks from a show. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, yes, I think if you're one of those people that's going to put sugar-free syrups and sauces on every meal and a whole lot of them, you're likely going to have some issues down the line. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think it's inherently bad. I really don't think anything is inherently bad when it comes to nutrition side. But like the caveat being what? Have a full sugar Coke instead of a Diet Coke? I'd still pick the Diet Coke.
This is
Even
something
with the
I try and explain to my parents all the time because they're old school. But
yeah.
yeah.
Good luck with
Um,
that.
so in general, so a few things, three general questions, but the first one is people want to learn what are the most underrated sources to learn? Where can they start for nutrition? Where
hmm
can they start for training? And where can they start for enhancements?
Well, the crazy part is they've all already started. They're just not paying enough attention. Everything that you will ever hear in bodybuilding is valuable information. Whether you disagree or agree, it's far fetched, it's some random old dude at a gym. Everything is valuable because, again, the answers are in the averages. So, every single person that you've ever heard say anything, whether it's true or not true, you have to factor that into the equation to get to the final spot where the correct answer will be. Then, training wise, my favorite people on the planet to watch train are Jordan Peters and Nick Loff. I don't think anybody
Yeah,
comes close to either of the two of them. They are my two favorite people to watch train.
yeah,
The other thing you can do is when you are at the gym, there is going to be some impressive individuals there almost always. Right? If you go to a big gym or a good gym, there's always going to be somebody who is impressive. Whatever they are doing, you look. Obviously, don't stare, respect them, but what they are doing is more anecdotes for you to average out. There's no right, there's no wrong. Again, because people, how many Olympians have won the Olympia training off a bro split? Right? And from what
yeah.
we know now, bro splits aren't apparently effective. They don't work. They're not optimal. Blah 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 blah
You know
blah.
what I
Yet
always
we have
wonder is like, does yes, there's less frequency, but maybe is it just the fact that you give a body part that much more attention and one day
yeah
override that frequency? I always wonder
yeah.
this.
We'll never know, but it's so cool to think how because fucking Ronnie Coleman, Jay
Yeah,
Cutler,
Jay
right? Like there's
Cutler.
so many. Chris Bumstead used to. Ian Valier, two right there. Bro split. I'm pretty sure Chris still is on a bro split. He doesn't even bodybuild anymore, right? So again, people grow from everything. So you really have to be intuitive enough to understand what you enjoy, what you can progress on, and what your average comes out to. You have to average everything out. You can't take everything as an extreme because again, there's no right and wrong in this sport.
Hmm.
And then performance enhancements are messy. You want to learn, go follow my TikTok, but just in
Yeah.
general, it's you
What is your
have
TikTok? Just to throw it again.
it's Dylan Yack. That's all my Dylan Yack underscore, I believe. I think my old TikTok
So
got
how do you
banned.
spell
That one
that?
was Dylan Yack. What's that?
How do you spell that? Just in case.
DYLANYACK underscore.
Okay, sick. And yeah, continue.
But with PDs, there is so much information now. So much. There's people that have literal brands off of educating on performance enhancements, and they contradict each other. Right? I made a post the other day where I listed. I didn't put any names in it. This is on TikTok, and I put four things stated about one specific compound. All four from doctors, PhDs, or respected individuals in the sport, and they all were directly contradicting. So what's that supposed to mean? For like all these people who don't know, they're just going to believe like we're all biased. We're going to have
Hmm.
people that we like more than others. You're going to believe their stance. It evidently cannot be 100% true if three other intelligent individuals said the exact opposite. Right? So again, but what did they all come down to? The middle ground was that the compound was safe to take in high dosage. It's very easy to tolerate. Not one of them argued against that. And then what we do know from performance enhancements that the most important variable is how many milligrams are you taking throughout the week. All compounds will stimulate muscle protein synthesis relatively at the same rate. So all this information is telling you this. We know we can take a lot of it. We know the objective with anabolic uses is to accelerate muscle protein synthesis. There's the right compound. So you really have to understand how to average out this information. Otherwise, you will never make it anywhere. Because someone's going to tell you no, someone's going to tell you yes, someone's going to tell you this, someone's going to tell you that. And then you're stuck in a hole like, what the fuck do? You have to look under what's not being said or what it all equates to. that's where the answer is going to be. And I kind of feel that way about everything. With nutrition, I really don't think there's much to overcomplicate. Once you have your micronutrients maxed, you just fill in the rest through the carbs required. Right? You have your protein goal, you have your micros done, you have the fats you need, then the rest of your calories come through white rice, potatoes, cream of rice, gluten if you can tolerate it, and that's about it. Nutrition is very simple. Nutrition, it's super important, super overlooked, and somehow always wrong when it is literally a blueprint to follow. That's my stance on those three, though.
All right. Now tell us a bit more about your coaching education site
Yeah,
moving
so my
forward.
website's not up yet, but I've been working on it real hard this week, and I'd like to get it up soon. So, obviously, coaching. Unfortunately, right now, a lot of people seem to come to me just for the performance enhancement side. And yes, I'm educated in it, and yes, I'll steer you in the right direction. Yet, that's not what I'm really passionate about. I just want to just make people better. What it comes down to. The caveat being on this site, which is what I'm most excited for, is one, I'm going to be putting my ebooks on there for a couple bucks. Not to get rich off of $5, $10, and they're just gonna be separate protocols, explanations, something. But those I'm really excited about. And then I'd like to interact. I'm trying to figure out a way to create a forum on it. Right? Enter your email, make an account, and you are in this forum for life. It is completely free, and I will overlook whatever, answer questions, talk, build a community that way. That's what I'm really excited about. Because on TikTok, people ask me a lot of questions that unfortunately I will never get to answer. Right? Whether they're not going to perform well or I don't have the time to type out these paragraphs. But if you're in a forum and everybody's here, it's this massive community, I would be more than happy to. Right? Give everybody opportunity to ask questions, get over it. I did take J3U, right? John Jewett's course.
How did you
And I
find
still,
it?
I think it's pretty good. I
Yeah,
think
I
if you're
did it.
looking,
I found so I did it all the way up until the enhancement section. And then honestly, I was like, dude, I know all of this stuff. So then I
yeah.
just got a
So
refund.
that's what I will say. It's for those who think it's advanced, it is not.
But I think it's a great
However,
start for the enhancement side of things.
it
Yeah.
is fantastic. The tools you learn, I don't even mean the forum is what I'm talking about, has so much value. You're looking at real life people with real life problems that are asking you real questions, right? You're going through it and they respond to everyone. That's kind of what pushed me to want to do the same thing. Just a forum to be able to help because again, their course is for the most part based off of science. It's a compilation of data and they're expressing the information that it found. These forums, a lot of them have nothing to do with science. And they're answering these questions in a bodybuilding way. That's where the value is to me. Right? And that value is to understand you're paying what? I think I got Black Friday, $500 something, to go to have a lifetime access to all of these people's experiences in the sport and you can just read through it and see it and learn. That is invaluable. So I'd love to be able to do the same.
That's awesome, man. Well,
Obviously, like free of charge. I'm
yeah.
not selling a course here. I just want the forum there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna do the outro and then I'll keep you on after just a few minutes. I have a few questions
Okay.
myself. We were just
Okay.
telling you a bit about content and stuff. But yeah, dude, thanks for coming on, man. This
Dude,
was
we'll run it
we
back
have
when
to
there's.
do like a million more.
I'm in. I'm in. If there's any time when we don't have any like time constraints, we're doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in.
100%, dude. But yeah, dude, it was awesome having you on. And guys, if you are seeing this from YouTube, check out my Instagram, Hami Fakihi, HamiFaqihi. If you're seeing this on Instagram, just give me a quick follow. I like to put out all these kinds of information online, training, nutrition, taking your physique to the next level, and also things from the coaching side of things, health, everything, all around it. And yeah, so thank you for watching.